Please do join me on this channel at 2 o'clock on Friday for an exclusive tour using my old footage of Upton Park. Basically, it's stuff like this. Okay, this is the tunnel. Actually, let me go walking backwards upstairs, which is a decidedly dodgy thing to do. Look at that. Right, take a walk down here. This is obviously where the players will all line up. Okay, this is very, very mental. I'm up on the roof at the moment. Okay, this is a tunnel that leads from the players' tunnel into the press room. Here we are, we're on the top of the West Stand. Basically, those are the turrets behind me. So if you want to see a bit more of that, do join me on Friday, please. The time is just right to do this now. The technology's there. We've got some really nice software now, which is going to allow me to do this as a live broadcast. It might be a little bit bitty, it might be a little bit messy, but it's the way I want to do it rather than an edited video. We tried that once before, ages and ages ago. We put it up there and we were told to take it down. This is going to be different because I want to do it interactively with you on the day, on Friday, because I just think it'd be nice to show a clip. I've got stuff with a dressing room. As you can see, I was up on the roof, pitch side, loads of the dugout, loads of stuff. I just think it'd be really nice if I take it clip by clip. Then we can have a chat about it. You can ask me questions about the day, about the stadium itself. And obviously, there's a whole lot of you that watch this that didn't ever get the chance to go to Upton Park as well. So maybe you've got some questions about that sort of thing. So hopefully it all works. Please do join me. I did say 3 o'clock. By the way, but it's now 2 o'clock. It's my birthday on Friday, and I think there's cake business going on. So basically, come 3 o'clock, 3:10, my daughter's back from school, and there'll be a lot of cake eating going on. So please do join me at 2, and that should be a lot of good fun. I've also got a message from Peach. Now, I'm going to play that later on in the video, all right, just so as you know. Something pretty special happened on the transfer deadline day special video thingy last night, and Peach basically mentioned that he'd lost his job. He wanted to become a patron, but he couldn't afford it. But he said one day I'll be there and I'll do it. And it just, everything happened, and we didn't expect it to happen. I think Daniel Watson quite possibly was the first person. He came in and he basically pledged a month's worth. He said, there you go, Peach, have a month's worth of Patreon Hammers Chat on me. And then everybody else just started wading in. And basically, everybody, for your generosity, we got a guy over in Canada whose connection with the club is so much based in Hammers Chat, as Tommy so beautifully articulated. Basically, you've paid for him to have a Patreon for a year. And it's absolutely wonderful. Myself and Gio have made up the rest. And it's just thank you. And he wants to say thank you. So he's in his dressing gown. You might want to wait around for that. Before I do and the the video of the day. The video of the day was this morning, but during that video there were some comments on it, and one of them I thought was, well, not one of them, lots of excellent comments, there always are, but I thought one of them really resonated with me, and it's from a Tom Pontefract, and hopefully I can pop it. Let's move across. Hopefully I can pop it up there somewhere. Let me just read it out for you. Now, obviously, the nature of the video this morning was very much about David Sullivan and David Moyes, and pretty much who was culpable for us not bringing in any strikers. And if you remember, I didn't believe the whole conspiracy theory. I feel very much that actually this is Moyes has made the decision, that Moyes has put his foot down. This is what Tom has got to say about it, and I just like his take on it. He says, David Sullivan is a transfer market hobbyist, and he would have given Moyes a list of options after we failed to sign Moyes' targets. I totally agree with that, by the way. I think Moyes' number one target was Youssef En-Nesyri. I don't know if he wanted Hlosek, but whatever. Moyes had a couple of targets. We tried to get them, didn't get them. So what he's saying is, after that, Sullivan's gone to Moyes and said, oh, here's a list of other guys. Tom says, I'm glad that Moyes stands his ground and sends a message to the board that he won't just take shots in the dark. Moyes and Sullivan are like water and oil. They just don't mix. Sullivan would gamble on any old journeyman who's available on the cheap. There is a power struggle at West Ham, especially when it comes to transfers. It's a power struggle that we need Moyes to win. And if that means a bit of short-term stagnation in a transfer window in return for long-term development, then I'm happy about it. Outstanding post, Tom. Outstanding post. Articulated
brilliantly and beautifully exactly what I feel. And just Migsy has replied to you underneath, by the way, says Moyes showing Haller and Felipe Anderson the door and then not getting some Sully special in shows, and it makes me think that Moyes is winning or that the penny has dropped with Sullivan. This is great. This is great stuff. And I couldn't put it any better myself. The power struggle between Moyes and Sullivan. Moyes not getting his targets, and then David Sullivan going to Moyes and saying, "Oh, hold on, there's this fella in South America," or you know, my favourite agent, Will Salthouse, knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a striker. That's not happening anymore, and I like that, and I'll accept that. Now, what I want to do is just to almost confirm that is Moyes has made a press conference. Now, the press conference is just for the Aston Villa game, but obviously just the nature of things, we've just had transfer deadline day. Moyes was asked about the lack of striker activity. Anyway, so this is these are Moyes' words. He said, "We were looking. We want to try and pick the players correctly. We had money to spend, and the owners had money to spend after we sold Sebastian Haller earlier in the window. So we had that. But we're trying to do things differently here at West Ham. We're not going to follow the same paths that have been followed before. So I chose to keep my money." It's words. Words are really important. So I chose to keep my money. And hopefully I'll be able to start another rebuild come the summertime. I was interested at looking at some of the bigger clubs as well. In the period that we're in, they've needed a centre-half or a centre-forward, but partly due to the pandemic and talk about the lower league clubs needing money as well. You have to be mindful of what you're spending. I think he's alluding to the fact that Liverpool desperately needed a centre-half, and they went and purchased someone from Preston for £500,000 to fill in the gap. Now, I thought that when I saw it, wow, this is pragmatism totally being played out. And actually, if you listen to Jurgen Klopp's comments last night, I can't remember the full statement, but I will get close enough. He said, "I think you will all understand that ordinarily Liverpool would not be looking at a player from Preston. We don't tend to do our shopping in those markets. However, because this situation was forced upon us, we started to have a look." I think his name was Was it Davis? His name Ben Davis? He might be. So we started to have a look at Davis, and the more we looked at him, we thought, wow. No, those were his words. We thought, wow. So we've gone ahead and made the deal. And look, without getting into the fine detail, it does highlight that the market was a bit of a weird one. But just going back to what Moyes said there, and I do like the thing about keep my money. We want to try and build and pick correctly. We're trying to do things differently here at West Ham, and we're not going to follow the same paths that have been followed before. Put that alongside Tom's comments about the power struggle, and then what Miggsy's saying about Moyes possibly winning this. I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing here. What would be an ideal scenario is if we just had a chairman who went out and got Moyes' targets and you didn't have to have this power struggle. But sometimes I think you just got to accept the situation that you're in and that we're in. And that is, things need to change at West Ham. And Mike always called David Sullivan the dictator of football. And that's right, because he likes to control everything. And some people in life make the decision naturally by themselves. Some people make mistakes and learn from them. Some people learn from advice, and some people never bloody learn. Some people have to be dragged, kicking and screaming over hot coals to do the right thing. And maybe, just maybe, this is what's happening now. I think we can put to one side the prospect that David Sullivan is going to relinquish his power hold at West Ham by himself. No. But I think maybe he's had a little look, maybe Pellegrini and a few other things, seen the grass isn't greener, and now he's looked at David Moyes, and maybe reluctantly he's handed over, relinquished a bit of power to Moyes. And I'm pleased for that. I am pleased for that. Is it ideal? No. Is it a risk, us going into the window without a striker? Absolutely. And I do wonder to what extent a loan deal wasn't pursued. It seemed the sensible thing to do. But I do think there's a certain amount of value in David Moyes saying no, just to every single one. Tommy alluded to it in a video last night. We probably should have had more targets than we had. David Moyes, it was Gio, has said he thinks David Moyes' problem is probably only had 2 targets or something like that. And I would agree with that. Maybe Moyes should have 5 or 6 targets. But therein lies the issue with us, A, not having a good scouting construct, and 2, you not being able to go and see players and scout players and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that if David Moyes are in 2 years' time, he's hopefully sorted out the scouting to one extent or another, and then he will have a bigger list. But I do like the fact, I do like this, and I wonder how many times no was said. I do like it that David Moyes says, okay, here's my 2 targets. Sullivan comes back, says can't get them. Not available till the summer. One of them don't want to come, one of them's not available till the summer. David Moyes says, okay, I'll leave it. I'll leave it. And then David Sullivan, I would imagine David Sullivan didn't at that point say, okay, fine, all right, yeah, we'll leave it. I would imagine he did go back and say, well, Will Salthouse has got this player, and there's this player here and this player there, and we can get such and such on loan. I wonder how many times David Moyes has said, no, I just leave it. I'm going to leave it. I would imagine quite a few. And, you've got to be quite strong-minded, and I think David Moyes is, when somebody's being very, very insistent on something. So I think we're all scratching around for a few positives here. And maybe, just maybe, this is one of them. Is it a positive that we don't have a striker? No, it's not. But it may well be an extremely positive situation that we got someone in the club who's perhaps more pig-headed than the owner. Someone who's very, very focused, very driven, and is not going to take any interference. Earlier on in the video, I spoke about the dynamic of their relationship changing. Maybe, just maybe, that's happened. And as a result of that, Moyes is now better able to tell Sullivan what to do. Maybe at the start of that relationship, when Sullivan was wearing the less than ample trousers, that Moyes wasn't able to say, no, I don't want that. With Moyes' stock being higher, people look at it and think, hold on, this is a disadvantage that David Moyes hasn't signed a contract. Maybe it's an advantage. Maybe David Moyes saying, actually, we'll leave it till the end of the season, is enabling him to say, well, I've not signed that contract yet. I want this, I want this, I want this. So maybe he is just carrying a bit of power now, where he's saying, I'm dictating things and what I say goes. Going to be tough. Going to be tough for someone like Sullivan to do that. But it may well benefit Sullivan in the long run, relinquishing a little bit of power, letting somebody else build something is advantageous and beneficial to West Ham. Because, let's be perfectly honest, over 25 years in football, David Sullivan, David Gold haven't built much of anything, really, that they can look back on and say, that was a success. I think there's plenty of failure and plenty of excuse and mitigation as to why that failure happened, but there's not a trophy, there's not anything like that. There's no sustained success at any point. So, I don't know. May well be. I'm very, very pleased to have Moyes. We're very lucky to have Moyes, and I'm pleased that we have somebody at the club who feels that they can and they're powerful enough now to start dictating transfer strategy rather than the owner dictating transfer strategy, which is exactly how it should be. Right, I'll be back tomorrow. Before I go, I want to leave you with Peach's message. So I'm going to play you a video of a man in his dressing gown. He's very happy. He sent me 4 or 5 messages this morning where he wanted me to thank everybody. He's going to thank everybody himself. But, I mean, he is really, really chuffed. He was very emotional last night. He was very upset. And I know it sounds stupid, emotional, because it's, he gets to watch some extra YouTube videos or something. But it meant a lot to him. This is his connection with the club. I can tell you now, he's Hammers Chat mad. He's West Ham mad. He's on every channel. He constantly messages me all the time. Sometimes 1:30 in the morning. At one time, 3:30 in the morning. I don't think he's quite sussed out the old time zone yet. But he is a lovely guy. His heart's in the right place. He got quite upset and quite touched when he realised that the West Ham fans had come together and enabled him to fill even more of his time with something that he is just so immensely passionate about. Particularly, he's over the other side of the world. So, his contact with West Ham is limited and minimal. So I thank you. He thanks you. We all thank you. You're going to get to see a lot more of this. I'll tell him to get dressed next time. I'll leave you a peach, and I will see you tomorrow.
Yo, how do you mean? Differently, man. Yo, I gotta give a big shout out to everybody who spent their hard-earned money to get little old me as a Patreon. Like, yo, that's better than any Christmas present, birthday present. How you mean, man? And like, I watch Hammer's Chat every day. Translation, I watch Hammer's Chat every day. I'm showing you though, Doc. I'm showing you, man. I look forward to the content. I love what Gio does. I love what Gonzo does. I love what Charlie does. Yo, me and him are on the same wavelength with the cheese, tomato, pepperoni, pineapple pizza thing still, Doc. How you mean? But big up everybody. Big up yourselves. And yo, I look forward to seeing the content done though. I look forward to giving y'all some content too, man. Peach is in the building. He wouldn't be in the building if it wasn't for y'all, man. Recognize that. Word up, man. Peace out, man. I'm West Ham till I die. I'm West Ham till I die. I know I am. I'm sure I am. I'm West Ham till I die.